Welcome into the Wiltfong Whiparound with Steve Wiltfong. Today is Monday, November 11th, and I'm your host, Josh Newberg. We got the best insider in the country when it comes to recruiting, Steve Wiltfong. He's going to break down the biggest developments heading out of a crazy weekend of college football. So sit back, 20 to 30 minutes, get caught up on all things recruiting. All right, we are going to start this show out in Boulder, Colorado, because Colorado is looking to capitalize on a big noon Saturday kickoff against Utah this Saturday. Buffs are currently ranked number 18 nationally and have a ton of recruiting momentum right now. Colorado only has 10 commitments, but there's more coming soon. Buffs fans, do me a favor right now. Smash that subscribe button. The On3 Recruit channel, the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. And we are talking CU Buffs recruiting. It's red hot right now, so jump on board and hit subscribe. All right, Steve, let's talk some Colorado recruiting. No target is bigger on the board right now than quarterback Julian Lewis. He did not show up for his visit in Indiana over the weekend. So what are your sources saying right now on Julian Lewis?
Well, Colorado did not sign a quarterback in the 2024 cycle. Julian Lewis has been their top target here in 2025. He has taken 4 visits to Boulder this calendar year, all 4 trips coming after he committed to USC back in August of 2023. I think there is confidence around Colorado. There always has been that Julian Lewis will ultimately be in the fold for the Buffaloes. You saw that picture from his official visit where Shedeur Sanders is dropping the keys into his hand, passing the torch, as you would say, from him to Julian Lewis. Colorado is the best chance for him to start as a true freshman. He's been to spring practice. He's been to a game. He was there for the exciting win over Cincinnati. He has seen this program turn around. I think the season, more than anything, has really elevated Colorado's position, because coming into the season, they were a 4-8 football team talking about what they were going to be. Now they're 7-2, and they're in the mix to make the college football playoff, win their conference. Shedeur Sanders is going to be up for every major college award at the end of the season, the Heisman Trophy, all the all the quarterback awards, the Johnny Unitas and such. Now I think his teammate Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman Trophy, but Shedeur Sanders in the mix. The platform that you get playing for Deion Sanders in Colorado right now is exciting. The offense under Coach Shermer, all the pro backgrounds on the Colorado coaching staff. There is a lot of reasons for him to pick Colorado, and talking to sources around the Boulder program, this one feels like it's setting up like a Jordan Seaton recruitment. They won out in the end over Tennessee, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and others for Jordan Seaton at the end of last cycle. He is now Colorado's starting left tackle. He's also tried to help recruit Julian Lewis to Colorado. So there's a lot of excitement that Colorado can flip Julian Lewis from USC. I think USC is also recruiting other quarterbacks just in case it happens. I think if you're Colorado, you feel good about the way it's playing out. But with Julian Lewis's recruitment, and he has visited USC twice this fall as well, sometimes the assumptions that you make aren't always what ends up coming to fruition with this young man in his process as he continues to dot I's and cross T's and talk to several college coaches.
Steve, are you watching where Julian Lewis goes this weekend? Is there any word? I mean, it's only Monday. I know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is when we really report the big visit news. Mm-hmm. But is there any chance we could see Julian Lewis at this big noon kickoff?
Well, I know that Carrollton High is gearing up for a state championship run under Julian Lewis. He's the reigning Gatorade State Player of the Year in the Peach State. He was a finalist for the Gatorade Player of the Year award last year for the national award. It's a noon kick. Getting from Atlanta to Denver is not hard with the direct flights that those airports have. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything about him visiting there this weekend. He's already been out there a couple of weeks ago, been there 4 times. We know he did not go to Indiana this past weekend. We talked about that on the Recruit Reaction Show. His relationships with some on the Indiana staff, second to none. But Colorado with more buzz right now for Julian Lewis than Indiana when you're talking about the flip sweepstakes.
Yeah, well, that's a great update for Colorado fans. I like how you compared Julian Lewis's recruitment to Jordan Seaton. How about we compare Jordan Seaton's...
Ever since he flipped Travis Hunter from Florida State, he's had a big recruiting win at the end of every cycle. They've had some good wins here, flipping Antonio Branch from Penn State, 4-star defensive back, Adrian Wilson from Arizona State, who's having a phenomenal senior season in the Lone Star State, but they're looking for more flips. Julian Lewis would certainly be the grand poobah of it all.
All right. Well, let's talk about Carday Smith because he could be the next Jordan Seaton type flip. Carday Smith committed to USC. He goes 6'6.5", 290 pounds. He is a potential first-year player if he were to flip his commitment to Colorado. So, Steve, what's the latest on Carday Smith, USC offensive tackle commitment?
Well, anyone Colorado recruits from the high school ranks they view as a first-year player. Carday Smith is someone that they would love to pair with Jordan Seaton for the next couple of years. I like the way it's trending. Logged an on-3 RPM in favor of Colorado on Monday morning. Chad Simmons, my colleague, joined. We think Colorado is the team to beat for Carday Smith. He's been to 2 games this fall, including that win over Cincinnati there with Julian Lewis and company.
All right, more exciting news. There's more flip targets on the board. Another flip coming into focus is Alexander McPherson. He's out of IMG Academy. He's an edge prospect committed to Oklahoma State, but there's a lot of smoke coming out of this recruitment in Colorado's direction.
Well, his season just ended at IMG Academy. He will be taking an official visit this weekend for the Utah game. I like the way it's trending for Colorado. They offered on Halloween, quickly gets an official visit on the books. He was at NC State this past weekend, had a good weekend with the Wolfpack, likes their potential, likes the way they've developed pro defensive linemen. But when he gets to Colorado and he's going to be rubbing elbows with guys like Warren Sapp and all the NFL resumes on the Colorado coaching staff, I think this is shaping up well for Colorado to flip Alexander McPherson. He just wants to get out to Boulder and experience it, and he'll get to do just that this weekend.
All right, exciting times. Now, I can't wait to see how this visit list for the weekend grows, but I want to talk about 2 other major high school targets right now for Colorado. That's edge London Merritt, who's committed to Ohio State, and also linebacker Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, who we've been talking about a lot on this channel recently because he's been taking visits to Michigan, to Notre Dame. Now we know he's already taken one to Colorado. So, Steve, talk to me about these 2 major high school targets for Colorado.
Well, Colorado is the biggest threat to flip London Merritt from Ohio State. They had him on campus, had a great visit, sees an opportunity to be an early contributor. And again, the way Colorado's playing this year, I think that's very exciting for London Merritt and his family. Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, I still like where Michigan is, but I think Colorado is right there in the thick of it. Notre Dame got a visit this past weekend. Texas is in play for a visit next weekend, the 23rd. He saw an opportunity at Colorado, loved his visit. I think it was for the Kansas State game, but they're one of the front runners. I would give the nod to Michigan, but Colorado is battling for Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng.
All right, really interesting coming off that visit to Notre Dame. His recruitment really heating up as we head down the stretch here. So, Colorado fans, talk
Quentin
to Steve
Gibson
and I.
too, Josh. I gotta interject before we close this video. Quentin Gibson is a major receiver target for Colorado in this class out of the Lone Star State. He is very dynamic with the ball in his hands. Colorado is one of the schools to really turn it up for him first this fall. Other programs have followed suit, trying to keep him in state. So it's been a little bit of a battle, but Colorado in a great spot for Quentin Gibson out of Lone Star State powerhouse North Crowley. So hit that like and subscribe button on
Smash
Colorado
it,
recruiting.
Smash it. Don't just hit it. Smash that thing because Colorado recruiting is red hot right now. Buffs fans, talk to us about Julian Lewis, about Carday Smith, about some of these flips that are coming into focus and a big noon kickoff on Saturday. Colorado fans, how we feeling? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, Steve, let's stay on the West Coast. Let's talk some USC Trojan recruiting. USC, they didn't sign a quarterback in 2024, and Julian Lewis has been their top target for 2025. He's been committed for over a year now, but he's not the only quarterback on the board right now for Lincoln Riley. Steve, what's the latest on USC quarterback recruiting and Julian Lewis as rumors are swirling?
Well, obviously, Julian Lewis has been their top guy, first in 2026, but they knew he was going to reclassify, didn't recruit anybody else in 2025. They've invested a lot of time in Julian Lewis, been out to see him. He's been out to Southern Cal twice this fall. But he's kept other schools warm, so USC keeping other quarterbacks warm. That list starts with Husan Longstreet, currently committed to Texas A&M, five-star signal caller from down the road. I think that what Lincoln Riley has done with offenses, quarterback development, that's been intriguing for Husan Longstreet. Now, all the dialogue with Texas A&M, where he's currently committed, still strong. Been to College Station a couple times this fall. Not on flip watch just yet, but obviously the longer he talks to USC and doesn't shut it down, the more intrigued I get with where USC stands with Husan Longstreet.
All right, so when it comes to Longstreet, do you think that he needs to make it back to campus? I mean, we know that they've been talking, but any talk about a potential visit coming up?
Well, who's to say he hasn't been on USC's campus? It's not a hard reach for him to get to Southern Cal. I don't think game visits are the only trips that prospects have to make when you're talking about local prospects.
All right. Anybody else on USC's radar for 2025 at the quarterback position?
I mean, I could speculate on some names. I haven't heard any definitively. I mean, Hawaii's all-time leading passer, Jawan Keys Sagapolatelli, is one that I would certainly be pursuing if I was any program right now looking for a championship caliber talent at the position. But Lincoln Riley, he has proven in the past he can pivot real quick from one quarterback to another. And anytime he calls, there's going to be a lot of interest because of what he's done historically.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Jawan Sagapolatelli because, with Oregon showing interest, Georgia showing interest, I thought it was only a matter of time until we see USC kind of getting in there on that. Is there any chance USC passes on a quarterback in 2025 if Julian Lewis flips, or do you think they take somebody from the high school ranks? Of course, you got the transfer portal as well.
Well, they need to create some depth. I think that they like the older guys that they have in their room, and obviously they're making the quarterback change this weekend. It's hard to get someone from the portal that's going to come in and be a backup. Now, certainly, again, that could be attractive for USC, and I think they have to do that. But signing a quarterback in this class is almost non-negotiable, not signing one last year.
Yeah. All right. USC fans, talk to Steve and I. Comment section below. How do you guys feel about recruiting at the quarterback position? Julian Lewis, does he stick? Does he flip? If Julian Lewis isn't the answer, who is? Let us know in the comment section below. All right, Steve, let's talk Ole Miss recruiting. The Rebels, they're working to cash in on an electric atmosphere on Saturday. Oxford was absolutely buzzing after that big win over Georgia, and now we're talking recruit impact. So we got a couple guys on Flip Watch. Offensive lineman Devin Harper, cornerback Dante Core, and wide receiver, the five-star committed to Alabama, Caleb Cunningham. Let's start with LSU commit Devin Harper on that offensive line. Didn't hear a whole lot coming into the visit about him, but hearing a whole lot coming out of it.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about him on the Recruit Reaction show, Josh, but I do think that that Ole Miss is very much in the mix for the LSU commit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were ultimately able to get the spatula out and flip the four-star from Shreveport. Now, LSU battling to keep him in the fold, but there is some momentum around the Rebels. You got a chance to hang out with several guys already committed to Ole Miss. There's a camaraderie there, like the direction of the program, the opportunity. Ole Miss is very real in that one.
All right. Now, Dante Core committed to Auburn. Auburn looking to flip some corners. Dante Core looking to maybe flip out of that class. Why do you like Ole Miss here?
Well, talking to multiple sources about that recruitment, Dante Core is trending heavily to Ole Miss. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not already in an Ole Miss class, currently ranked number 19 by the time this video actually posts on the On3 Recruits channel. Hit like and subscribe. But Dante Core back at Ole Miss this weekend, was already trending towards the Rebels before the game, I'm told. And then obviously they go out there and dominate Georgia to the tune of 28-10, only give up 240 yards of offense or so. I think he loved it, and I expect him to be in Ole Miss's class.
All right, let's get to the headliner of the weekend. 5-star wide receiver Caleb Cunningham. We knew he was going to have a fun time in Oxford. We didn't know that by the time the visit ended, he would be trending to Ole Miss. Steve, you put in a pick. Chad Simmons put in a flip pick. Explain the intel behind Caleb Cunningham trending from Alabama to Ole Miss.
One of the headliners, so stay locked in, Ole Miss fans, as we continue to talk about this huge recruiting weekend. But yes, we've loved the way this has been trending for Ole Miss. This was his third visit to Oxford for a game this fall, and they were all planned in the preseason. When he visited for the opener, that 76-0 win, I had reported after that to expect him back for the Oklahoma games and the Georgia games. Still has his official visit in play if he needs it to Ole Miss. But Ole Miss, the offense, the opportunity to play early, the way Lane Kiffin gets the ball to his playmakers, the reception he gets when he's on campus, the autographs he signs, the pictures he takes, he feels all the love from Ole Miss. And I think ultimately he'll don that uniform and play for the Rebels.
All right, if Caleb Cunningham was headliner A, then let's get to headliner B. Steve, what are you hearing on quarterback Deuce Knight, who flipped to Auburn from Notre Dame in October, but he's from Lucedale, Mississippi, and was on campus to watch Ole Miss beat Georgia? What are your sources saying on Deuce Knight?
Well, I think it's still an uphill battle for Ole Miss, but he's listening to the Rebels, gets back on campus this weekend, spends time with Coach Kiffin, Coach Weiss, the commits on campus, and Ole Miss isn't going to go away on the coveted in-state quarterback. I think it's the only 25 quarterback they'd consider taking this cycle. We'll see if he can get back to campus. I'm expecting him at Auburn for the next 2 Tigers home games.
Okay.
Maybe he can get to the Egg Bowl. I don't know. Right now, Ole Miss still fighting the good fight with him and guys like the nation's number 4 edge rusher, Jared Smith, who's also committed to Auburn and visiting. I think those are both uphill battles for Ole Miss right now. But, hey, you keep swinging and you don't know where those conversations lead as the 3-day early signing period continues or gets closer.
Jared Smith, a really intriguing name, one of the best edge prospects in America from the state of Alabama, committed to Auburn right here on the On3 Recruits channel. But he's been looking around. Who do you think's more of a threat right now, South Carolina or Ole Miss, to flip Jared Smith?
Well, I've been hearing more about South Carolina. He's going to be on the Gamecocks campus for a second time this fall for the Missouri game this weekend. Huge one in Williams-Brice Stadium. And I thought there were times where South Carolina led. Auburn got the momentum from them late in the summer and got him committed. He's been to Auburn a ton this fall as well. Going to be a tough flip for anybody, but Ole Miss has always been in the top 3. And again, no better weekend to be on the Rebels campus than this past one, the biggest win of the Lane Kiffin era. And they won 11 games last year, Josh. That was the best season in Ole Miss football history. They're trying to trump that this year as the top 10 program pushes towards the college football playoff.
Unbelievable weekend for Ole Miss fans. Talk to us in the comment section below. Let us know, how is your hangover doing? And also, which flip targets are going to sign with Ole Miss? Let us know, comment section below. All right, Steve, let's talk some Notre Dame recruiting. There's the Irish. They have 23 total commitments in 2025, and they're looking to put the final touches on this class. Big names on campus that watched the Irish wax Florida State on Saturday night in prime time. So Irish fans, do me a favor right now. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're here to talk Notre Dame recruiting, so jump on board, hit subscribe. All right, Steve, let's talk about some of these flip targets on campus. Who do you want to start? Let's start with wide receiver Antoine Parham. He's committed to Tulane. Looks like he is now trending in Notre Dame's direction.
Well, he's 6'4", 200 pounds, averaging 20 yards a catch from Coconut Creek, Monarch High in the Sunshine State. He has really risen on Notre Dame's board. They're trying to get more dynamic on the perimeter. He is a guy they're targeting. He told me he had a fantastic visit to Notre Dame, talked a lot about the 40-year plan and the investment that Notre Dame has in their student athletes and the community feel and family environment. It is well beyond your playing days. So I like the way that one's trending for Notre Dame.
All right. Also, running back Nolan James looks like he's trending from Boston College to Notre Dame as a running back flip. Now, I want to talk about another big-bodied wide receiver. That's Derek Meadows. He goes 6'6", 180, 185 pounds, committed to LSU. But how did this visit to Notre Dame go?
I heard it went well. It's a place he's very familiar with. We thought Notre Dame was the leader for much of his process before LSU grabbed the momentum at the end of the summer. I think folks that have spent time with Derek Meadows on his visit to Michigan last week, his visit to Notre Dame this weekend, they think it's more than likely he ends up somewhere other than LSU. Texas A&M trying to get into the mix for Derek Meadows. Maybe he visits there this weekend, but he's always been comfortable at Notre Dame. He knows where he stands on the board, one of their top players, regardless of position that they've recruited in this 2025 cycle, and he sees a need to make an instant impact in an offense where Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, has a track record of developing bigger receivers during his time at Notre Dame. So we'll see how that one continues to go, but I heard it went well.
Okay. Now, when we talk about flip targets, one of the most important positions is on that defensive line. Heading into the weekend, I thought Jalen Wiggins was a bit of a long shot. He's committed to UF. He's from Tallahassee, so I thought it was kind of cool that they're bringing him in to watch FSU get beat. Maybe there's some significance there, but Jalen Wiggins committed to the University of Florida. What are you hearing after his visit to Notre Dame?
Well, he's a tailor-made fit for Notre Dame with his personality, his academic goals. He's highly motivated in the classroom, and I think talking to him about his visit to Notre Dame, he saw a place he would be very comfortable. He said he's got to go home and think about everything. But the young defensive linemen on the roster, the guys like Bryce Young, who they recruited last year, I think he felt like he really fit in with those guys. A lot of like-minded players at Notre Dame. Notre Dame definitely moved the needle with Jalen Wiggins.
All right, last big-name prospect on campus in South Bend over the weekend was on 300 linebacker Madden Ferramo. And after this weekend in South Bend, what are you hearing on one of the top linebackers in the country?
Well, my on 3 RPM's on Notre Dame for Madden Ferramo. This is his second game in South Bend this fall, coming from the West Coast. He was there to watch Notre Dame get a big win against Louisville in September. Now, he's not going to make a decision until after his senior season. He is not a lock for the Irish. Got a lot of love for the Irish. Sees a lot of reasons why he should go there, but USC, Washington, Texas linger for Madden Ferramo as well.
All right, big weekend up in South Bend. Irish fans, talk to Steve and I. How you feeling coming out of this one? Recruiting is buzzing. Let us know. Comment section below. All right, Steve, let's talk a little Alabama recruiting. After a big win on the road over LSU, they are trying to flip one of Michigan's most coveted commitments. We're talking Ivan Taylor, the number 7 ranked safety in America, and you are now predicting that flip. Why'd you put the pick in this weekend?
Well, this is one that's been brewing for a while. He was at the Alabama-Georgia game where he saw the Crimson Tide get a huge win. He said the stadium was shaking. The environment, he just loved being inside the stadium for that one. But the relationship with Courtney Morgan, Coach Hitzler, the track record of development they've had, what Bama stands for, the competition that Bama plays against, I think he sees it as a place that could be the best fit for him long term. He's been committed to Notre Dame, now committed to Michigan, but Alabama has hung around the entire time, recruited him as one of the top players on their board, and I think when all said and done, they get it done, have him in the class, one that currently ranks number 1 nationally per on 3.
Big one. All right, who else does Bama want to land in that secondary class, Steve?
Well, Mason Dunn's a major flip target for them, currently committed to Ole Miss, was at Ole Miss this past weekend. They'll keep swinging there. And then Donovan Starr, committed to Auburn right now, took his official visit to Alabama a couple weekends ago. Coach Mo Linguist leading the charge on that one. I think Alabama's very much in the mix to ultimately flip Donovan Starr. You have Vanderbilt in play, Illinois, and Michigan as well.
All right, so running back seems like it's still a need for Alabama. And over the weekend, Anthony Rogers, who's been talking to Ohio State for much of the fall, made a visit to Ohio State. So what's going on at the running back position, and who could Bama finish with?
Well, Jace Clarizio has obviously emerged as a top target for them, was offered by Alabama last weekend, currently committed to Michigan State from East Lansing. But he's going to take an official visit to Alabama this coming weekend for the Mercer game. And Alabama is a program to watch. He loves the tradition, has always followed the program. I could see him ultimately being in the class for Alabama, a big physical back that can run between the tackles, has a lot of upside.
What do you think Anthony Rogers is ultimately going to do? Do you have him leaning toward Ohio State right now, or do you think that Bama does sign him?
We had a good visit to Ohio State. Georgia's also in the picture. He's one of those backs that's showing this fall that he can be dangerous catching the football. His sisters go to school at Alabama. Obviously, he's interested in some other schools. So Alabama, they're going to bring in Jace Clarizio and see what shakes for the Mercer weekend.
All right, let's talk about the other side of this Caleb Cunningham recruitment. He's trending to Ole Miss right now. The 5-star is from the state of Mississippi. So if Caleb Cunningham does flip away from Alabama, what's the Tide's next step at the wide receiver position?
Such a receiver-friendly offense. Jamarcus Shepard, the position coach, has developed as many pros recently as any other in college football right now. His name right there alongside the likes of Brian Hartline and company. They're not going to have to look far if Caleb Cunningham ultimately flips to Ole Miss. Maybe they go back to a guy that they were a finalist for the first time, whether that's a Travis Smith Jr. committed to Tennessee, Nashawn Montgomery committed to Florida. But if they cast the net at that position, they're going to catch a fish and fast.
Yeah, there's going to be some options. So Alabama fans, talk to us. How are you guys feeling about some of these flips, whether it's Ivan Taylor to Alabama or Caleb Cunningham away from Alabama? What are your thoughts? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, Steve, let's talk some LSU recruiting. Big weekend for the Tigers. It didn't go the way they hoped, but they had some of maybe the busiest college football recruiting weekend in the country. Number one, Bryce Underwood was there. He made it to Baton Rouge amid all these Michigan flip rumors. And also, DeCorian Moore, he made it. So we're gonna talk to Steve about all this. So first, let's start with Bryce Underwood, the nation's number one quarterback. We know he had a big game on Friday night. They win. He gets immediately on a plane, goes to Baton Rouge with his entire family. So what's the intel on Bryce Underwood coming out of this LSU trip?
Well, I think he's going to stick in the class for LSU again. Has always had a lot of love for the Tigers, loves the environment and atmosphere around the program, the way they've developed quarterbacks, and certainly the stage they play on. Got a chance to get around all those commits again, like Harlem Berry, be around the staff, brought his entire family. They love the way that they are received in Death Valley. Yes, there's conversation with Sharon Moore and representatives of the Michigan football program, but it's always been an uphill battle for the Wolverines. This visit, a reminder of all the things he loves about LSU, his potential in the program, and I like him to stick with the Tigers.
All right. Now, Bryce Underwood wasn't the only number one player at his position on campus. Wide receiver DeCorian Moore, the best in the country, was there. He's committed to Oregon. LSU fans want to know, Steve, what should we make of DeCorian Moore visiting LSU less than a month before signing day?
Well, I talked to his mom, Marjan, ahead of the visit, and they said they were excited to get to Baton Rouge and watch Caden Durham play, his high school teammate from Duncanville. I do think that LSU, during this visit, treated it as an opportunity to make a final pitch to DeCorian Moore and his family on why this recruitment should come full circle and he should recommit to LSU. I still like him to stick with Oregon right now, but I do think that there was conversation about why LSU would be the place for him. I think they're still battling uphill against the Ducks.
Do you think we hear about DeCorian Moore and LSU between now and signing day, or do you think this is probably it? I think that anytime you take a visit this late in the process, a school is going to be linked to you all the way to the finish line. Same with DJ Pickett in Miami, number one corner in the country, back at LSU this weekend. I think he's going to stick with LSU. Talked to his dad, Damian, this morning about the visit. Outside of the outcome of the game, they had a fabulous time, great environment, enjoyed getting around Bryce Underwood, Harlem Berry, and his future teammates. Spent the whole weekend there with Corey Raymond, Blake Baker, Brian Kelly, and company. Sees an opportunity to make an instant impact at LSU, planning to get back for the Oklahoma game on the 30th. Maybe he gets to Miami one more time, but I think that's still an uphill battle for Miami. I think it's an uphill battle for LSU as they try and flip DeCorian Moore from Oregon. All right, one more big name we got to hit on. That's defensive lineman Jakeem Stewart. Took that official visit to LSU this past weekend. What's the buzz on Stewart coming out?
Well, we talked about it on the Recruit Reaction Show on Saturday. I think a lot was being poured into this visit for LSU to keep Jakeem Stewart in state in this 2025 cycle. He spent time talking with Blake Baker before about the scheme. He's worked with defensive line coach Bo Davis in camp, loves his track record of player development at the position, got around some of the commits, had a great time in that environment and atmosphere, watching College Game Day, seeing Brian Kelly. But I think this weekend's visit was about, look, what this state can do for a five-star that stays home, the potential you have from a branding standpoint, et cetera, the love that you would receive. I think they showered Jakeem Stewart with it, and LSU is going to have a great shot to keep him home in Landon. He's scheduled to visit USC this weekend, then Oregon the following weekend, and then bring it home with Ohio State. He is willing to leave the state. I think that has never been a secret. He's taken multiple visits to these other finalists. Oregon is certainly a program that has grabbed some momentum late, was at Ohio State 2 weekends ago. They get the last official visit, so LSU is going to have to battle to keep them in state, but I think it was a great visit.
Yeah, so heading into this visit, the thought was Oregon and Ohio State were probably the teams to beat. Where do you put LSU on the heading into the weekend? They were on the outside looking in, but what about now?
Well, I think even the programs that are recruiting him, trying to get him to come out of state, they know that LSU is just lying in the weeds there, a program that even if they feel like they lead LSU, they have to worry about the Tigers all the way until pen hits paper.
All right, LSU fans, how are we feeling coming out of the weekend? What do you make of DeCorian Moore visiting LSU? Are you optimistic? What about Bryce Underwood and Jakeem Stewart? Let us know. Comment section below.
That'll do it for today's episode of the Wiltfong Whiparound. Thanks for tuning in on Veterans Day. I'm in between Veterans Day ceremonies at my kids' elementary school. Thanks everybody for their service. We will be back on Thursday for the next episode of Wiltfong Whiparound. Please hit like and subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel for the best recruiting information, and we will see you on Thursday.